Hey, it's Mark Podolsky, the Land Geek at thelandgeek.com. And people always ask me, how are you buying these properties all over the country? Well, first of all, I've been doing this since 2001. But when you first get started, don't do what I do. Don't go all over the country. You're the local expert. Focus on your own backyard or your own state before you start going outside to other states. Because even though you don't realize it, you are the local expert. You know the areas of development. You probably know local players in the area that can help you get started, even if you don't even realize it. Someone you know knows someone who can help you get started in your local area. So for this episode of Coffee Talk, I want to talk about a little bit about due diligence and getting started. So the first thing you want to do is you never want to buy property sight unseen, but you also don't want to spend a lot of money and time getting on airplanes or driving hours and hours to look at property. What I do for $79 is I have somebody go out there and look at it for me and answer a few basic questions. And that company is called WeGoLook.com. They crowdsource it. It's fantastic. It's the best $79 you'll ever spend. And the things I always look for in the very beginning of my due diligence is, number one, if you can't find it, most likely my customers can't find it. So it's got to be easy to find, have easy access, and there needs to be something compelling about the property. Either it's in the path of growth, it's got beautiful mountain views, there's a lake nearby, some kind of recreational activities, something that's going to make somebody else want that property. If you wouldn't want to buy that property yourself, don't buy it just because it's inexpensive and you think it's going to make money for you down the road. Buy quality and you'll be a lot better off in the long run. Anyways, this is Mark Podolsky, the Land Geek, another episode of Coffee Talk. If you want to learn more tips, tricks, techniques, how to earn more, work less, learn how, go to my website, thelandgeek.com. Subscribe and download the Passive Income Blueprint. That's where you should get started. Check out the podcast, leave me a comment, and I appreciate you taking the time to learn more about how to make money buying and selling raw land. This is Mark Podolsky, the Land Geek. Let's have another cup of coffee together in the near future. Thanks. Hey, it's Mark Podolsky, the Land Geek, with your favorite niche real estate website, www.thelandgeek.com. And on this week's roundtable, we've got the usual suspects, Bearland Aaron. Bearland, how are you?
Hey, everybody. I'm doing well. Hope everybody else is too.
The most feared woman in the country, the terrorist hunter, Mimi Schmidt. Mimi, how are you?
I'm doing great, Mark. How are you?
I'm keeping that pulse normal, respiration perfect. It's all good. I can't complain. We got the Zen Master. Breathe in the mailing. Breathe out the marketing. Mike Zano, how are you?
Doing wonderful, Mark. Great to be here.
Good to see you. And the technician, Eric Peterson. The irascible Eric Peterson. Eric, how are you?
I'm good. Good.
And of course, I love it when you call me Big Papa, Tate Litchfield. Tate, how are you?
I am stoked, Mark. Really stoked. And that's because
a lot. Yeah. Tell us.
Flight School Live.
Yeah, we got to talk about Flight School Live. But before we do that, we do have to mention that if you want to look over Tate's shoulder, just go to landgeek.com/lots. Look over his shoulder. It's an amazing sort of geek flicks experience. It's a season of just watching Tate work, get the inside look at how he runs his business. thelandgeek.com/lots. So Tate, you and Scott are in Tampa. You got a small room, an elite room. We compressed for the first time 14 weeks of virtual flight school into 2.5 days of live flight school. You had big, lofty goals. You guys said to me, we're going to mail the first day. We're going to market the second day. We're going to try to get a sale in real time. I started rolling my eyes. Like,
you doubted us, Mark?
I know how hard it is.
You doubted us.
To do that. Tell us what happened.
Okay, first of all, I just want to start by saying, don't doubt us, because not only did we do that, Mark, but we did it 3 times. We had 3 sales on day 2. Let that sink in for a moment. We took a group of individuals who had basic, at best, knowledge of the land business. We taught them how to choose a county. We mailed out offers. And then on day 2, we learned to market. We marketed like crazy, and we sent out a Land Moto email blast, and we sold 3 properties.
It's so incredible to me. Like, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it. It would be like, I don't know. I mean, I can't even find something to compare it to that even makes any sense, because we're not talking about, hey, here's how you sell a $7 ebook. This is thousands of dollars of land, taking people that don't have much of a background in it and getting 3 sales in 2.5 days.
And it wasn't just the sales that was impressive, right? It was the fact that we mailed out offers, but we also had a bunch of people who were interested in buying these properties. So everyone in that room left with a growing buyers list, right? There was more than a dozen people that reached out for more information on these properties. So this group, our first graduating class of Flight School Live, they left with a good area to have selected, right? They left with a list for people who they can continue to mail to. But most importantly, they left with the knowledge on how to execute on what the next steps were within this business. And spending a weekend, in a room with Scott Todd and myself, I think they gained a lot of confidence, because not only one person sold land in the room, but there were 3 sales total. I think every single person in that room left energized. They had proof of concept, which is, as we know, that's priceless in this business. Their confidence level to go out and buy land in the middle of nowhere is at an all-time high. They're ready to move. And these guys better watch out, because, they're hungry. They're going to make this a reality. I'm excited about them.
Yeah, I love Jerry Crozier's comment, because he's been doing the land business for a while, and he does, bigger deals, but he didn't have any automation. And he was like skeptical, like, am I going to get any value out of this? And then he said, I got my value out by noon on Friday on the first day.
Yeah. His mind was blown. Like, Mark, at the end of every single day, we'd stand up and we'd say, all right, bring on the questions. And the room was silent. Like, their eyes were glazed over. It was like an information overload. And then they had to go back to their hotel rooms and execute. The homework didn't stop. They had to keep joining groups and building lists and keep putting into practice what we discussed in class that day. So these guys are ready. And, we've got a lot of reactive phase coming up where we'll be following up with them and making sure they're executing. But man, it was exciting. I mean, Scott and I, on Saturday night, we went out to dinner. We ate at the Columbia. So not to rub it into anyone's face or anything, but it was good. Dirty rice. Mike Zano knows what's up. And both of us were just like, we were so excited. I was like shaking. I was so pumped up and excited for this group, because it's only the first of many deals for them. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, and we also learned that, there is a lot of value in keeping it really small and intimate.
Yes.
So the next one is, Mike, when's the next Flight School Live?
August 16, 17, and 18.
Yeah, the middle of August. So those spots are filling up already. It's like you said, it's a limited room. To keep the energy high and to keep the atmosphere the way it needs to be, there's not going to be a lot of slots available. So we're taking registration now.
You know what I liked about it, Mark, though?
What?
This is what I didn't tell you. Because it was small, you had everybody in the room working together. Like, someone would they'd have a breakthrough moment, and then they'd jump over to the next table and they'd share what they learned. And then the room just kept learning as a collective. So people were helping one another. If somebody was stumped on one question, obviously Scott and I were there to help out, but it was really cool to see people forge these business relationships that they might not have established otherwise. But it was all because we were all stuck in this little room working together on each other's businesses. It was powerful.
It's incredible. You guys got to, learn more about Flight School Live. Just go to landgeek.com, /training and get involved there. And while I'm plugging, Mike Zano and Scott Bossman are going to be in Vegas June 20th for a meetup. Mike, tell us about that.
Yeah, we're going to go there, and basically, this is the best passive income model that nobody's ever heard of, right? I mean, everybody thinks, that there's a ton of people doing this, but we all know this is a very small, tight niche, right? And we just want to go there and offer just a basic get-together to talk to people about, what this business really is, what makes Land Geek so special, who we are, and, just a really, casual get-together. So, and that's limited spots there as well. I think there's, we're going to have maybe a limited enrollment to about 50 people there. So it's not going to be a huge event, and it's going to be awesome. We're going to really just get together and just talk to people, answer questions they have, because, a lot of people out there know how incredible real estate is, but they don't understand how incredible our niche is, right? With the fact that you don't have to leverage other people's money, the fact that our deals are so, they're micro in the sense of what people typically spend on real estate, but macro in the sense of the results and the passive income. So we just want to really spread the word. So we're going to have a really informal get together.
Yeah, if you want to register, just email support@thelandgeek.com. It is a local event in Vegas, June 20th at the Beacon Theater. It's a free event, but it does have limited spots. So do that. All right, Mimi Schmidt, what are we talking about today on the roundtable?
Well, in flight school office hours, I've had a lot of questions about pricing for your offer letters, for mailings, and people getting kind of lackluster results. And you put a lot of money into it, and you're kind of nervous at first, and when a month or two goes by, you're not getting the response you start to get a little nervous. So we thought we would cover some pro tips on pricing.
All right, Bearland Aaron, that's your cue. What's a pro tip for pricing?
Well, see, I guess the offers are super important, but at the same time, we don't want to put so much importance on them that they stop us from moving. Because we all hear about Mimi's story about sending $0 offers out and getting responses. So, I guess first I want to start off by saying that the most important thing is getting them out, but after that, depends on the county and the data you can get. A lot of times you have to do some research on sites that people are selling on, and, take those numbers and get an average and maybe reduce it a little bit based on the fact that people are going to negotiate. Sometimes you can get direct sales information from the county, which makes it really nice. So you can have a very solid idea of what actual sales are and so forth. But whichever method you use, what you're going to find is that you're going to need to probably do several stages of mailings and have a couple price points, because you're going to need to find that point at which, at any price, you're going to probably get some response, but you'll hit that when you find that exact price, it'll kind of lock in, and that's when you're really going to see some results happen.
Nice. Eric Peterson, what would you like to add for your pricing matrices? Is it matrices? Is it matrices?
Matrices?
I have no idea. But what I can add is that kind of jumping off where Aaron left off, the research part and comping of property in the area is obviously very important to establish the baseline. And from there, I like to do about a 250 offer test. And what we do is we'll pick 3 to 4 tiers of pricing, and we'll take the first 5 rows of the Excel data sheet and put in, price 1, and the next 5 rows will be price 2, and so on down the line. And then we just duplicate that all the way down. And if your list is organized by APN, it makes a lot of sense to do that. So that way your pricing isn't all clustered together in terms of how those properties are laid out. It's really spread out across your entire list. And then you just wait and watch the response. So if, price 3 is everything that comes back is price 3 and 4, that's going to tell you that price 1 and 2 are probably too low or too high, depending. Well, it would probably be too low. But, it gives you the opportunity to really look at the different price points and see where your response is coming in.
Phenomenal. Zen Master Mike, let's just be skeptical for a second here.
All right.
We have a sort of a counterintuitive approach. We're saying, hey, go to where we know land deals are. So we want to go where people like us are already buying land, as opposed to some, there's 3,007 U.S. counties. Like, why not go to a county where we know there's no competition?
Yeah, well, you can do that, but I think that the first thing you need to do is learn our model and learn it well, right? And one thing I think that you cover in the toolkit, actually, and many people miss, is this whole idea, and Eric was kind of talking about the batching, right? So you get a list of a county that has all these delinquent properties, and then you just mail everybody that's 1 acre a number, right? Now, here's your $500. Every acre's, well, think about where we all live, right? There's no way you can say every property in your area, across where you live is the same. There's different attributes, right? So first and foremost, you mentioned this in the toolkit, Mark, right? You got to batch them. You got to get them by APN, by legal description. You got to somehow be hyper. You be very specific so that you're dialing in. So then you can judge what Eric's talking about with the response rate. So you can know that, okay, well, this is all relative to this one area as opposed to, 50 different subdivisions that are all 1 acre. That's going to make your life really hectic. But in terms of what your core question was, Mark, about why follow where we go, because it works. You have to embrace something that I remember I asked you years ago, Mark, and you've always drilled to this abundance mentality. This is something that's hard to grasp in the beginning, but we work in areas where there's just an incredible amount of land. And until you see this for yourselves, until you do these deals, then you can have this kind of this scarcity mentality where they're like, oh boy, I'm going to be running into other people. It's just not the case. It truly is not the case. There's so much land in these subdivisions that it's not the case. So you definitely want to follow where, if you're going to go hunting, I guess maybe somewhere up in Bearland Aaron's land, for a certain type of animal, you'd want to go where the animal lives, right? You wouldn't want to just go like, someplace where, so you got to go very specifically to where, and the animal we're looking for is vacant land, and we know where to find it.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite emails from people is, you guys ever see that video game Punch Out? It was like Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
I love that game.
So it's like all these boxers, but the first boxer that you would fight was really easy, called Glass Joe. And so I call it Glass Joe syndrome, where on their very first mailing, if they don't get this huge response rate, they don't start getting deals, they immediately assume the county's saturated or the model doesn't work. There's some type of like scarcity mentality. I love these people. I'm like, you're Glass Joe. You're knocked out. Go into ATM investing.
Great analogy. That is so, because it's all about patterns, right? To beat that game, you have to look for the cues and then know when to move. It's the same thing with that's such a good analogy. I love that.
Yeah, but we need the Glass Joes in a way. I mean, we have to sort of celebrate them because it keeps our niche small, non-competitive. When you kind of go into it like, I'll just put my toe in the water, but I get knocked out. I'm knocked out, and but it's the people that keep going up in the video game that really succeed in this business.
We're going for Tyson.
Going for Tyson. Yeah, absolutely. Tate's like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
I really don't, but I am assuming it's referring to like his glass jaw, right?
His glass
You
jaw.
can buy this whole console. I'm going to just send it to you. It's like this cheap console. You can play all the games now. Imagine that, Mark, right? You see it, you get all the games in this little teeny thing. You plug it in. You'll be addicted, Tate. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, all right. I'm interested. You can, tell me more. Tell me more.
You don't even have to blow in the cartridges to make them work right.
No, it's not like an Atari. Nintendo.
Exactly. So, Tate, what's your final thoughts on pricing?
Don't overthink it. I think, so often we assume that there is a correct price for a county, and we don't understand that the correct price is whatever someone is willing to sell it for and what you're willing to pay for it. whenever you mail to a new county, there is a lot of mystery that goes into that. Nobody mails to a county saying, okay, I know the most I can pay is $375 an acre, right? That takes time. And that's why it's important to do what Eric said and throw a wide net, right? Try a couple of different price points. But ultimately, you need to get comfortable with the fact that even though you're getting the properties at what you consider an amazing deal, somebody out there might be getting them for a little bit cheaper than you. But ultimately, who cares if you're paying $100 or $200 or $500 more than another land geek in the area? As long as your margins are good and you're happy with that return, you're winning. I mean, I found this out this weekend. Scott Todd and I both randomly are mailing to the exact same area, and he priced the properties at $1,250 a property, and I priced them at $2,000. Guess what? We're both buying property, we're both selling property, and we're both making, I don't know, 450, 500% on our money. So do I need to adjust my pricing? Not really. I'm still making a great return. I'm happy. So I think people need to stop worrying so much about hitting a home run when it comes to pricing. Just send them out. If you're in the right general price point range, you're going to do well in this. So that's my advice.
Yeah. You know, I got this email from Billy Kwok this week. I don't think I told you about it, but you know, I read it and I was really happy for him. And then I sort of like went into like envy mode. Listen to this. He writes, hey Mark, Billy Kwok here. Quick update on a recent home run. Bought a parcel 3 years ago. So he's been in the community a while. That happens to be part of HOA for $4,000. It was one of my first. Made the mistake of passing it to a realtor and not selling it immediately, which I could have. The high value made me cautious and curious. Set it and forget it, as they say. I always have plenty of other things to work on. Just sold it for $47,500, which gave me a check for $41,500 cash. Not a bad return, even if I had to wait for it. Thanks again for everything. I'm currently pulling in about $3,500 in passive, not including cash sales, with an average of less than 30 minutes a day in work, in large part because of your generous willingness to share your secrets. Presently trying to make space in my life for one-on-one coaching, blah, blah, blah. Me and my family owe you so much. P.S. I'm super happy with GeekPay.io. Isn't that amazing? So he made $41,000. I got another thing from Joshua Williams on Messenger. He made like, let me see what he says. He wrote that he did a deal and on a flip, I'm looking at his check of $27,605. He made $21,000 on his flip. So we can do bigger, land flips as well in this business. I just think you have to look for it and kind of focus on it. But I'd say to both of them, you should have sold it on terms. Right now you got a problem. Now you got a bunch of cash. You got to redeploy, but it's okay. I don't want to be a cash snob. Eric Peterson's laughing. Eric, aren't you happy for these guys?
I'm very happy.
Do you feel
Billy? I remember him from way back when in Orlando, and glad to hear he's still doing well and making sales. That's awesome.
I know. Do you feel a little twinge of envy or no? You're just happy.
No.
I had a second of it. Now I'm really happy for them.
I think envy is not the right word, Mark. Motivation.
Yeah. I just want to say, like, comparison is a thief of happiness. So if you're not doing these kinds of flips, don't worry about it. Like, don't beat yourself up about it.
That's fair. That's totally fair. I mean,
but that kind of,
whenever somebody hits a home run, part of me is like, well, I want one. And it's not that I'm not happy for them to have one. It's just like, I would like to do that. And then it motivates me to go find one, right? I don't think that's bad to admit. I think that's good.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we want to share it. It's inspirational.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Boy, it's better than a house flip, isn't it? Having to go and meet the subs and deal with all that. Flip this land. Billy Kwok is going to be the star of that show. So, Mimi, let's segue into the tip of the week. A website, a resource, a book, maybe even a quote Mike Zano, something that is valuable where our Art of Passive Income listeners can go right now, improve their businesses, improve their lives? What have you got?
So this week it is just, I'm on like a weekly blog from HubSpot, and they sent out this email last week, 39 sales email subject lines that get opened, read, and responded to. So, I send out my deal of the week, and I always want to have exciting things to say to try to get my open and click rates really good, as high as I can. It's interesting how they differ by counties. So, I've noticed that over and over, I get headlines that work for me, that I always get leads on. But I think it's always good to review these and keep in mind what people are interested, what inspires them to open and click. Yeah.
I love this.
So.
Wow. Great tip.
It's interesting. In one of my counties, I'll have like between a 15 and 20% open rate. And in another county, I'll have like a 45 to 50% open rate. So, the more people that open it, the more likely I am to get a sale.
Wow. Fantastic. Ted, are you looking at this?
Yeah. Some of them are kind of funny. Eric
Some of them
mentioned-
are kind of cheesy for sure. Don't open.
Some of them, I mean, like full on clickbait, but
Sure.
HBO Go password.
Right.
Yeah. I wouldn't use clickbait.
Yeah.
Right. Unless you're really, really willing to give up your HBO Go password. What's a question mark? HBO Go password? What does that mean?
Yeah. I think we all get kind of stuck in ruts too, right? A lot of us, 5 acres, beautiful, well, beautiful land, 5 acres in Castilla, right? We kind of get stuck in these heading ruts. So maybe it's good to mix it up every once in a while.
No, I think it's great. Well, I think this is a great roundtable, and I want to thank all the listeners. I want to remind them that the only way that we can keep getting the Zen Master and the Terrorist Hunter and the Technician, Bearland, the Big Papa on these roundtables, if you do us 3 little favors. You got to subscribe. You got to rate. Wait, first you got to subscribe. Then you got to rate, and then you got to review the podcast. Send us a screenshot of that review to support@thelandgeek.com. We're going to send you for free the $97 passive income launch kit, and share it on the interwebs with a friend, right? Everybody wants more passive income without renters, rehabs, renovations, and rodents. I think, for the most part, unless maybe you're, I don't know. Even a billionaire would want some more passive income, I think. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Why not?
I would. Why not?
It's one of those things you can't get enough of, right? Maybe it is. I don't know. It's an interesting concept. How much is enough? But that being said, I think we can make the argument that once your passive income exceeds your fixed expenses, then you really have a choice. And then you can really start climbing up Maslow's hierarchy of needs into self-actualization and even decide for yourself how much is enough. That was pretty deep. Actually.
That was really deep.
It is true.
See?
You
It's
just
true,
come
though.
up and pop your head with that? That was perfect.
Yeah. And I've only had 1 cup of coffee this morning,
Wow.
by the way.
That's quotable.
Thank you. All right. Are we ready to do this? 1, 2, 3. Let freedom ring. Oh, man. Not great. So no one's ever talked. Have we talked about Game of Thrones yet?
Oh,
Have you seen it, Mimi?
yeah, my son watched the end on Sunday night. Oh, yeah.
What do you think?
We can't throw spoilers out.
He thought it was great, but then like last night he was watching YouTube and one of the main characters said it was disappointing or something.
Really?
The character that plays Jon Snow was quoted as saying that the finale was disappointing. It's like, wow.
I don't know. I remember like these iconic shows, their endings, they're always a little disappointing. Like Sopranos, people didn't know if their cable was going out the way it ended. And,
Lost.
Seinfeld, they're like, oh, they didn't like it. Lost, people didn't like. You can't please everybody. It's a hard way to, it's a hard thing to do to wrap up these iconic shows. I will say that I thought that Breaking Bad's finale was very good. I was not disappointed with that as far as like an iconic show. Tate, are you watching Game of Thrones?
I don't. I never. I mean, dragons are cool though, so like that's awesome. If there's dragons in it, maybe I should give it another shot. But I don't know. I just never got into it. But I hear the dragons are awesome, so that's all I know.
Eric, what about you?
No.
No. Mike? No. Bearland Aaron?
No, you know what? That, like, Game of Thrones has been in, like, my news feed, like on Apple News and stuff, so much. It's like every day I open it up, and when stuff's like that, it kind of, like, is too popular and turns me off, so I haven't even watched any of it. And, you know, maybe I should have. Maybe it was great. I don't know, but so no.
I tried getting into it. Like the first season, I couldn't get into it. And then, you know, as the seasons progressed, like I kind of went into Tate mode. Like this is too big a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
But now with all the press, like I'm kind of going to FOMO. Like what am I missing kind of thing? But I don't know. I guess if this whole group isn't into it and we are the land geeks, I guess it's not that geeky a show.
We're all waiting for the second or the next season of Jack Ryan and The Handmaid's Tale, right?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I did like The Handmaid's Tale.
That's right.
When are they coming out? That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason that we are land geeks, is so that we can binge watch, right? That's my why at this point.
Yeah. The why evolved.
Yeah. I used to have like really grand goals, and like now it's just binge watch. That's my why. I just want to binge watch in my pajamas all day long.
That's when you were at the bottom of Maslow's triangle. Now that you had those grand vision looking up, now that you're at the top of the triangle, you're like, yeah, I'm going to Netflix binge.
Yeah.
Every time I have to like drive on the highway, like the same route I used to go to work, I'm just filled with gratitude that like this is an anomaly. I don't have to do this every single morning and afternoon and fight this 45-minute traffic. Like for me, like that's what motivates me in the morning is like, can I just keep going so I never have to like fight traffic again?
You ever feel that stress or that kind of pit in your stomach when I do that when I drive that route? I just think, oh gosh.
I just feel badly for all the other drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's like, you know, just humanity. Like, oh, this is not great.
See, my previous business was, I don't know, let's say an eighth of a mile away, so I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, but you had to take a horseback. I mean, it was...
Well, yeah, the horse is lonely now.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
That's crazy. Zen Master Mike, how's the new house?
It's great. I'm getting ready to build my shoffice.
The shoffice. So Tate's got the garage mahal.
Yep.
I stole it. And I've got the garage mahal. Or the garoffice.
Yeah, the garoffice too.
The garoffice. And so Mike, you're doing the shoffice.
Yeah, gonna walk outside, gonna have it all framed up with a nice window, little porch, gonna have a little heating and air conditioning unit, and gonna have a little whiskey area. It's gonna be my shoffice.
Are you gonna have a Zenden in it?
Zen office. Yeah, the Zenden.
You gotta have a
probably
Zenden.
Yeah, it's gonna have everything. The shoffice.
Sounds awesome. Can't
That's
wait to
great.
see your first
Right
project.
now we're having the property survey because the first day after I moved in, the neighbor came over. I think it was like a dog marking his territory, mowing the lawn. I'm like, I think that's our land. Like, I think that's our land. So it's time for the survey. I'm so happy that guy showed up today. Fences make good friends, right, Mark? Little fence.
Yeah, what is it? Fences make good neighbors.
Yeah, your mowing services are no longer required.
Right. He's like, you're being wicked rude here, Mike.
It's out of
He's
my
like, I
mind.
didn't know the new owner was a land guy.
Oh my lawn
Let me see this fancy plat map you have.
in the wrong direction.
Yeah. What's an
Neighbors,
easement?
what are those?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Bearline Aaron, what's a neighbor? Oh my gosh.
I was hugging the survey guy. Went out. You're here. Oh.
Start on this side.
I need to know where to put the shoffice.
Good. You'll
Yeah,
love it, man. I'm excited to see what yours looks like. Maybe we need to do like a garage mahal cribs one day.
There you go.
There it is. Yeah.
Just like walk everyone through our cribs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you can
Well,
do it
mine's
on
under
lots.
construction. You can still
Yeah,
show
Eric's
it
saying
off.
no because his is
Eric's
probably a
saying no. It's
mess.
like, no one touches my guitar. Mike,
That's the working model.
Wow. I want
that's really
this.
nice.
It's like a tiny house, man.
It's
That's
a shoffice.
really nice.
Yeah. Can you
How many
text
square
me?
feet is that?
I have my own patio.
That? I want to ask for that for Mother's Day next year.
Holy
Come hang out on the patio after office hours.
wow. That was really nice.
All right, I don't want to do cribs anymore.
I don't either.
Could be it may not be exactly. That's the working template. I got to go to the shed place and have them design it.
Yeah, I
thought
don't
it was
want to do
like a
this
shed.
anymore.
That's like a second home.
Not that huge. It's like 12 by 20, 14 by 20. It's tiny. Laura's going to get a desk.
That's cool though. You deserve it.
You can close the door and walk away, and then it's not in your house. Maybe it'll
The
be easier to
shoffice.
shut it down and not do it all the time.
Right.
Beautiful.
I love it, Mike. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Do it.
Open invitation to all of you to come to the shoffice.
Looking over Mike's shoulder. We'll get a tour of the joint.
Yeah, lambs.
That doesn't sound good. Lots sounds a lot better than
Right. That sounds like something like you don't want to ever hear from your doctor. Well, Mr. Zano, I'm afraid you have lambs disease.
Oh, he's got lambs.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, I can see like Tate's got that glaze in his eyes because it's like his lunchtime.
It is lunchtime.
He's got to take a nap. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he does need a nap.
Yeah, that sounds good too.
Yeah.
Definitely doing that.
All right. Well, thanks everybody.
See ya.
See ya. Wayne would say, I miss my dogs. See you guys.
How's it going tonight?
How we doing?
Going great.
Zano can't even talk. He's got so many gumballs in his mouth. I mean, is that
I do have a gumball addiction. Matt Forbes knows that.
It's true.
is
I
that
know he doesn't chew
appropriate?
gum.
Yeah,
It's gumballs.
is that appropriate nightcap etiquette to just be sitting there?
The sugar's just about gone. I'm gonna get rid of it.
Oh, so you do it for Sugar Rush, and then it turns into a rock in like 2 minutes, and it's gone. I gotcha. So, what's going on, Land Geek Nation? The viewers are rolling in. Nice to see everybody. When you get a minute, let us know how our sound is. Matt Forbes, your spirit animal, James Simmons is here.
James Simmons.
Penelope
What's up?
Edie's here. What's up, Penelope? It's Marcus. I was going to say, I bet you're relation to Marcus, but you are Marcus. I see what you're doing there. Nice to see everybody. As always, Mike Zano, who are we and why are we here? Or maybe I'll defer to. Did you see that big slobbery gumball come out of his mouth? Mike Zano, who are we and what is our
I'm sorry.
function?
I have a gumball addiction. I'm sorry. We are we are the Land Geek guys. We come on once a week, Wednesdays, Thursdays, whenever we figure that out, and we talk about land investing. And we have some
Nice.
drinks before or after the show, depends, or during sometimes,
Or all three. Don't.
or all three.
Let's not pigeonhole ourselves
But
here.
there is a 2-drink limit typically.
Right. Right.
I didn't know that. It's good to know.
Right. Yeah. Who is your? I'm not sure who wrote that. Who is your daddy and what does he do?
The show is off to a bad foot already.
It's off to a bad start. That's for sure. I think James Simmons
Well,
is
this 10
fooling with
o'clock
us.
on the East Coast, the kids are typically tucked in bed safely. On the West Coast, better turn the volume down.
Yeah, so it's typically a PG-13 show until Forbes gets a few drinks in him, until he passes the 2-drink limit.
Nothing,
And then,
nothing surpasses the anniversary show, and he just was
One time.
in rare
One
form.
time.
one time,
It was
One-
great.
more
though.
than one.
Baseball cap on backwards, just spouting all kinds of land wisdom. It was a great night.
Yeah.
By the way,
Uh,
Matt, Sweatcedo season is back upon us.
Oh yes. That sounds good. I'm ready for this. I'm ready to wear the sweatsuit again. You name the day, I'll make it happen.
Next week.
Yeah, I think next week we should break them out. Unless we're supposed to get a little bit of a warm up here next week, so we'll see how warm it is. But we have a question already.
Thank God.
Usually we don't get one until like minute 30, so this is exciting. This is from Maximiliano. What's up, Max? How's it going? He says, what do you guys think about buying land close to big parks, either tiny home communities or just campground? Allows RVs to park and charge by night, week, month. Allow RVs to park and charge by night, week, or month. That way we never lose the asset. It can't get paid off. I mean, it's a great question, Max. I love those properties. I love selling those properties because people love owning land that they can camp on. But I guess the question is, do we Airbnb it? Thoughts, fellas?
Airbnb. I have not. I guess it could work.
It
if
works.
you had property in the right location, I'm sure. Matt, have you done it?
I've not done it, but I was on a guy's podcast who had Mark was on his, and another person was on, and that's what they were trying to set up and do. And so I know that works, right? You set up an RV park, kind of, but no hookups or anything. Now that I'm a big RVer, I know all these terms very exciting.
Right.
Here's my thought on that though. Like, what a pain in the butt. That's my only thought. Like, if you can get it to work and you're happy with it, thumbs up. I think you can make money doing it. I don't know if you want to. I don't know if you want to pay the insurance to have someone else stay on your property or take the risk of having them on your property without that insurance. I don't know if you want to go chase people down for $40 because that's what they'll pay a night. So
Right.
if you want that, if that's how you want to roll with this, awesome. I will not partake myself.
Is that typical now that you're an RV guy? $40, is that typical overnight rate?
So it can go up to 150, right? But
They have a lot of
places are like-
amenities. I suppose with
Yeah.
150, you're gonna have a pool, a little bit of a lake. You're gonna have
right. That's
you can-
where you can hook up. There's water and sewer and all that stuff. I think this notion is like, hey, people can come and just sort of boondock on your spot. In today's world, in the RV world, there's harvest hosts and boondockers welcome, maybe, and you pay a nominal fee a year, $100 a year, and then you stay in all these places for free. And so the notion of that business, I think it sounds good, but I would keep your eye on the ball. But if that's really what you wanted to do, like, it's not like you couldn't make that work. You could totally make that work. It just sounds like
right.
work.
Yeah, I think there's probably lots of variations of this model, and it's just, if you go through the process and you get the details down and you know how to run it and it's efficient and you can outsource it, then boom, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it.
There's
I don't think I will tell you this. I can't think of a successful land investor who would want to take that on. I'm not sure if that says something about it, but none of the people that I know would ever touch that. Because why would you? Why, you could, hour for hour make far more money with your time, just doing, more properties. But again, if that's what you wanted to do, freaking, could you make it work? Yes, I think you could definitely make that work.
Yeah, I mean, give it a shot. It distracts or it detracts from the recipe a little bit, right? But that might be something to do once you're up and running. And we talked about this last week. Get your wheels underneath you. Follow the recipe. Do the beginner stuff. Get your business up and running. Then experiment a little bit. See what happens.
I think that's smart. I think that's the right advice.
Let's see. Keith Forche says he did do a Hip Camp spot. Yeah, Hip Camp is a site that people use for renting their land out. He did a Hip Camp spot last year and sold it to someone who stayed a weekend on a terms deal. So there you go. Keith, it transitioned into a sale for Keith. So who knows? He might be onto something.
I say is, inch wide, mile deep. We're very, very specific in what we do, but there's variations of it, and I don't think there's probably no limits on what you can do. Actually, it's just a matter if you have the appetite for it and you want to put the work in.
Right. Dave LaFay is here. What's up, Dave? Max says he thinks campgrounds may be a bit easier than actual Airbnb type spots. He is currently evicting a tenant. So believe me, I hate the idea of having humans on the land, but I do see the upside to it. Try to balance between long-term tenant and just rotating people, but I agree with the premise of our land business. People living there can be a pain. He's currently at war with a tenant. So those are things we don't want. Those are typically things, though. I mean, Max, you've done a ton of deals. What percentage of deals that you've done are you dealing with an issue like this? That's the beauty of the land business. I have a friend who owns. What's that?
Sorry, I was going to say you made a good point. Tenants, termites, toilets. We always say we're not, but you bring in one of those teas back.
Yeah, it's true. You're bringing one of the teas back. I like it. Eliminate the teas.
You were saying you had a friend that was doing something?
Austrians. No, I have a friend who she owns a bunch of duplexes with her brother, right? And it took them a number of years to start making a profit, and now they're doing okay, but they're dealing with stuff all the time. More than 1% of the time, they're dealing with stuff. That's what we love about land. I mean, it's a 1% type deal. All right, here's a question from Will Power. Will, I like that name. If that's your real name, that's really cool. If it's not, it's still really cool. Why are some people willing to lose their property to tax sale rather than sell it? It's a good question.
It's a good question. They may not know anybody that wants to buy it.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the weird thing. We talk about taking these properties that are tax delinquent, and that sounds great, but then the flip side of the question really is, well, then who wants them? If this person who owns it didn't want it, like, who's to say somebody else would want it? So that's actually a really good question. It brings up that topic, doesn't it?
Part of it is it had, for a lot of people, it has no intrinsic value. They didn't buy it. They were gifted it. They were handed it down from their parents. They didn't know about it. It has no value to them. And, they called an agent. The agent was like, yeah, I'm not going to sell that for 12 grand. I'm out. And they're like, all right, well then forget it. Right. The way they look at it is like the tax, the yearly taxes, all $84 or whatever the heck it is, right, is is a burden and they don't want to pay the burden. So they just sort of let it go.
Right.
It happens all the time. You wouldn't do it. I definitely wouldn't do it. These other two guys would never do it. But that's one of those things, like, just because you wouldn't do it doesn't mean other people wouldn't do it.
Well, it speaks to the niche that we're in, right? There's lots of ways to make money out there, and you could be getting rid of something, any of us, a bike, anything, and be like, I'm just done with this. Yeah, take it. Oh yeah, $10, sure, take. And they have this whole model where people love bikes, right? But you just don't know how they do what they do, and it's not a big mystery. It's just something you don't know. So people don't know how we do what we do. It's not that it's extremely difficult. It's just a new concept for them. There are people out there that love these properties, and are willing to pay for them on a monthly basis. But and again, we've talked about this. Even suggest this to people when they're trying to negotiate. They want more money. I'd say, hey, why don't you just do what we do? We let the end user's going to pay us a small monthly payment. Oh, forget that. Sounds complicated. No, I don't want to do that. They just don't even want to think about it. Never mind, try it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, fellas. Billy Cook, do you know anyone doing land deals in South Carolina? Is the Southeast a good place to pick up land that owners don't want?
I don't know anybody who's done a deal there, but that doesn't mean really much of anything, right? It just means that we focused on other areas. I think if you can buy land, any asset, 25 cents on the dollar, you're in good shape, right?
Buy
But I just haven't done deals there, so I can't speak to that state, but I can speak to the fact that you're buying an asset 25 cents on the dollar. If you find something in South Carolina 25 cents on the dollar, I'd buy it. If it's really that good of a deal, but I haven't done deals there.
I would buy it too, but understand that this is a volume game. Buying a piece of property here and a piece of property over there isn't the model. Buying 10 over here and 30 over there and 50 over here and having an inventory of the same kind of property, because you've got 200 ads on Facebook that just keep going, where people are constantly coming back. And you're like, oh, well, the one you called about actually sold 6 months ago, but I have these other two over here. Right. So in this onesie twosie world, that doesn't really work. So could you do it? Yeah, you could do it. Is that a sustainable, long-term, successful approach? Maybe not as successful as going to where everybody else is and buying, 50 properties your first year or your second year. Right. So you have to look at that. I would look at that angle as well.
Well, it's a good point. There's no rules here too. If you want to buy a property here, property there, and flip it and make some good return, the only thing is it gets sort of addictive, right? And you begin to realize, hey, I'd like to do more of these. How do I do more of these? And what can I really take on for deal flow? But you could certainly do a property a month or property here, or property there, and be very happy and content, right? There's nobody's saying you have to develop the business to the level we're talking about. It's still an incredible side hustle just to buy one here and there. But I think you get addicted pretty quick once you see the returns.
Yeah, it's just more expensive when you do one here and one there. That's all, because you just don't get the economies of scale of doing it in the locations like we do it in, right?
Yeah.
So again, I don't want to tell anybody like, no, that's a dumb idea. You're going to rent out that land as a campsite. That's horrible for you're an idiot. You shouldn't do that. Because if that's what you want to do, you should go do it. But is that this business model? Is that this niche? No, it's not. That's something else.
Right.
Right. And maybe I'm wrong. And maybe somebody else is doing a podcast right now. Like, oh my God, those land people are nuts. You should go and rent it out and do all that. Like, can you do it? Yes, you can do it. Is that the model? No, it's not the model. It's not the model. It's close, but it's not.
And he has another point here. He says, "Thanks. I've been looking into cash flowing real estate, and it doesn't work well everywhere." And that's really true. And in this business, when we think about cash flowing real estate, what we're really talking about is owner financing monthly. We make our properties cash flow for a really long time. And not, you can't do that everywhere. We love working out west because we can buy land for, or because we can sell land for 100 down, 100 a month. And we can do that all day long, even 200 a month, 250 a month. I was looking at my average terms deal the other day. We're about $163 a month, something like that on average.
Yeah.
You can do that stuff all day long, right? It's a little bit harder to finance property or cash flow property when you don't have a lot in inventory, Matt Forbes, like you said, and things are a little bit more expensive. A little bit harder to find a buyer for $300, $400, $500 a month, and it takes longer to get your money out. Right, we're getting our money out on these deals in 10 months or less. We all get deals all the time where we make our money back on the down payment, which is pretty awesome. So, all right, let's see. We got some good questions coming in. Here is one from Sang Tran. I think this kind of talks or kind of is relatable to what we talked about earlier. Have you ever allowed a buyer to put glamping on your land and they're on the owner financing land? So, no, saying, I've allowed people to camp on the land per county restrictions, but I'm not going to allow them to set up hip camp on their own. I'm not going to allow them to make improvements unless they clear it with me. But again, that rarely happens. So, just be upfront with those people when you're selling the property and say, not sure what your intent is with the property. You can camp on it, you can visit it, but we just don't want you making improvements on the property until it's paid off. Those are the conversations we have with people when we're selling. Matt Forbes, any thoughts on that? Kind of similar to what we talked about earlier.
Yeah, no, I'm in total agreement with what you just said. Right, you got to sort of stick to the right. What?
Nothing.
You say that's a first. That is a first.
I said that's a first.
You gotta stick to the recipe. Right. I would not.
Don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah, listen, people staying on your land. Some investors don't care. I also don't allow it. I don't want headaches.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Well, you had a headache recently. I mean, I think I had a headache. I didn't find out about the headache. I had a guy on a note. I didn't know he was living on the land until 3 years into the deal. I called Mike Zano. I was like freaking out. He's like, Scott, just deed him the property. I'm like, that's genius.
Yeah. Yeah. Or sell it.
I deeded him the property. I'd already made money on it. It wasn't my issue anymore. So,
yeah.
But we hate those deals, right? It just adds way too much stress to our low stress business.
Correct. So that's, there's this whole work-life balance, right? Like, just deed it to him and be done. Like, did you make money? Maybe you did. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you lost a little bit. Who cares, right? Not every deal is smoking. Not every deal is a home run. It is what it is. But overall, you do quite well if you stick to the recipe. If you do what, you guys tell us to do. It is what it is.
It is what it is. I love this from Mark Eady. He says, in Charleston, I pay $2 per oyster, so 25 cents on the dollar for land. That's a no-brainer. I like that. That's funny.
25 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, right. Facebook user. Oh wait, that's James Simmons. All right. So talk about cloudy titles. How do you clean them up so we can offer warranty deeds? So, do we even go after those deals? I don't know.
I don't.
Mike? Yeah. Forbes, you don't?
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's ways if there's a cloud on the title, you can go clear it up. But I think the biggest thing is we like to take the lowest lying fruit. And the lowest lying fruit is a deal that someone's owned for 10, 15, 20 years, or you see a nice clean history of transactions, of title transfer. You can take on more difficult properties if you desire. And this sort of falls in line with, do you want to have people, rent it? Like at the very beginning of this conversation, you sure can. but it just adds another level of complexity. Do you want to go after probate properties or properties that have a cloud on the title? Well, sure, you can. If you want to learn how to specialize in that or get really good at that, and you could make a lot of money. But you could also just pass that deal, and since you mail consistently, go on to the next one. And you know that's sometimes hard, especially in the beginning, to pass up a deal that's like, wow, look at this deal. I'm going to make 4x on my money. I just got to clean up the title. Eh,
It's not a deal.
Yeah, that's, and if you only mail a few here and there, and that's what you have, to let that deal go is going to really hurt. It's not going to feel good. But if you mail all the time and you have a queue full of deals, that one deal is just going to be like passed with no problem. Like, hey, nope, I got 5 more waiting for me that have no issues. So I don't go into that whole idea of, I have not gotten into the whole process of cleaning up titles and there's a cloud on the title and so on and so forth. I just buy properties that are easy to work with.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've never done it. I got a buddy who's done a couple of quiet titles, but like something's really banged up. He didn't know it when he bought it, and so it got screwed up. But it was it was a couple $1,000. And just why spend all your energy over here when you can do 5 to 10 times the amount of deals with the same amount of energy expended by you, right? So this is, we are not the saviors of land. I think in the Land Geek community, right? We are not there to right the ship. We are there to take the easy wins and win. Right? I'm sure there are people who specialize. I think probate's a really good one, right? Because when you're new, you immediately start running into probate deals, right? And people, I can help these people. I can do this. I'm doing a service. Yada 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 yada. That probate takes 2 years. That probate took a year. That probate's gonna go take 18 months. Like, what are you doing? Right? Can you do it? Yes. You can do any of the things that have been asked tonight. Could you do any of those? Yes. Do I want to? No, I don't. And I'm doing a probate one right now. Actually, it's horrendous. Right? We used it as an experiment to see if we could, crack the code and make it go fast. And so far, no.
It's funny you say.
Why are you experimenting, Matt Forbes? Why?
Because I don't do any of the work. That's why. Because I got enough.
Well, that brings up a good point. It gets to a certain point in the business where you sort of are idle in a sense, right? And you have time. You do have an entrepreneurial spirit. You're like, all right, what else can I do? Maybe I'll start looking at, and that's a good time to say, maybe I'll look at doing this or doing that. Look at it. How would I deal with probate issues? Let me take some. Maybe I'll take a course on it. Maybe I'll study it. There's options, right?
Yeah.
But that's the bread and butter's done at that point. You got the foundation, the fundamentals, and now you're just like, hey, let me do something with my time.
What's next? My wife and I have a bad habit of going, okay, what's next? Right. What's the next thing? Right. Set this up, get this plate going, get it making money. What's next? Take over the world. Me and her versus everyone else in the world. Let's go. So
it's all good, dude.
That was one of those moments.
Well, I mean, that whole mentality though is what got you where you are today, right?
Yeah, but I'm not like, you guys are way more successful in this than I am, right? For sure. But you've been at it longer, right? In 2 years, I think you're 2 years ahead of me, Bosman, or 3 maybe. So now that I've been in it for 3.5 years, in 2 years, I'll be where I will be, where you are today. Hopefully passing you. And that's a great place. But
no,
I
if you look at
stopped doing the business by then. I mean, I'll be doing it. Don't get me wrong. I just mean like me personally, my time where I spend my life, right? Because once it's going, it's going.
Once it's gone, it's gone. We have a win to share. Sang Tran, he just wants to share his first retail cash sale ever. Sang, this is awesome.
Let's hear it.
Sang went through flight school a few months ago. He bought it for $950, sold it for $2,300 plus a $249 dock fee. He just advertised the land in 3 months. So in 3 months, He nearly tripled his money. Sangtran, that's awesome. Good for you. Congrats. I know. I know that had to feel amazing. That first retail cash sale feels amazing. So congrats to you. And as Mark Podolsky says, rinse and repeat. Time to
That's it.
rinse and
Hop right
repeat.
back on and do it again.
Awesome. That's great.
But do celebrate, because the first one
Yeah.
is huge. It really can invigorate you. It's like, you can hear us talk about this till we're blue in the face, or you're blue in the face, or whatever. When you do your first deal, yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, like Mark Eady says, if you can do one, you can do 100. That's exactly right. That's
exactly right.
That's the goal, man. Another question, let's see here, from Ross Davis. Ross, nice to see you here. If you buy a property with a tax certificate on it for delinquent taxes, do you buy the property first and then pay off the taxes, or what is the process? So it kind of depends.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Zeno.
No, it does depend. I mean, it's okay to buy a property with a tax lien on it. I always tell people in layman terms, just call the county when you buy a property, or before you buy the property, actually. Any taxes owed? If so, how long before something bad happens? Like, am I going to lose this property? Like, what's the window? And so if a tax lien's on it, no big deal. Why? How much do I have to pay, all inclusive, to bring this to balance this out to zero? Anything, just that's the number you need to know, because that's the number you negotiate with, and once you know that, and you know the timeline, maybe you let it ride for a bit, maybe you need to pay it off right away. If it's a tax deed property, like a deed grabber, you're going in and there's a tax deed auction, which we've all done this, right? And you got a property that's a couple weeks from an auction, and you pick it up at a sweet deal, and probably ticking off the neighbor who's been waiting for that property to go to the tax deed auction, by the way. So that is a deed grabber. That you want to pay off pretty quick, because you want to stop it from going to the auction.
Yep. I've done that. I've bought one on a Tuesday.
Neighbors love you, right? Oh, yeah. I can't wait for it to come. And all of a sudden, why is it no longer on the? Well, yeah, someone just came in and bought it.
I had to go to auction it was in the same week it was going to auction, and I didn't know. I somehow, like, we stumbled into the fact that it was going to auction. We actually didn't know, right? We just looked at the back. We were like, oh, okay, whatever. And then somewhere in due diligence, it was like, that's weird. We called the county, and the woman's like, you have till the end of the day. And we're like, take my credit card number right now, go. We did, and and then we sold it a couple days later. But yeah, you just got to be careful. You have to, like, pay attention, right? Because that stuff can slip through. But also, there's to be fair, in a lot of these states, there's a decent redemption period. So it's not necessarily the end of the world, but you don't want to go down that road.
Yeah.
It comes down to knowing the rules in the county. That's why we say start with the county and stay there, because you get to know these rules really well. So there's a county I work in. There's a 3-year tax lien cycle. So if I'm picking a property up in year 1 of the tax lien, I'm not feeling any pressure to pay that thing off, especially when they charge me $1 a month. Not even that, cents a month, right? If I'm in year 2, should pay it off soon. If I'm in year 3 of the tax lien cycle, I should maybe pay it off. But you know what? Here's the other thing. Like, these counties, when it gets to the time that it is becoming emergent, they send you these bright pink letters in the mail, because a few have gotten past me, and they say your property will be sold at auction in a few months. And you're like, oh, I better pay those taxes. I don't typically like to wait that long, but typically the county's good at letting you know when you need to pay this stuff off, so you don't lose the property.
Yeah, there's definitely a sub niche there, right? Going after people whose properties are gonna be taken, because it's like, well, you can take my $2,000 right now, or you can get nothing, because that's what's going to happen in 5 days. And I know you don't have, the 3,000. So you want $1,500? You want $1,000? You want $2,000 right here, right now? Right? There's a little sub niche there that's pretty good, but you got to be really Johnny on the spot with that stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Liam Nielsen will be in that new movie Taken 3, The Vacant Land. Yeah, that brings up a good point, though. I have our team, when it comes to the taxes, I prefer, and they do, they call the county and ask them. You can look on the website and get these, but the website, having a person you talk to and saying, finding out exactly what's going on, the timelines, all that, I think it's critical. Plus, I'd like them to hear them say the property back. So, verifying it's the right property. I don't want to just rely on the website. I know there are some really good websites out there. Maybe you get used to the county you work in and you know 100% that the website's accurate and you're good, but still, I like that phone call to the county just to say, hey, I had this parcel. Yeah, and who do you show as the owner? Great, yep. And what's the tax situation? Okay. And then any other questions that come up if there is back taxes, like, okay, great. Is there anything bad that's going to happen here? Like, do we have to pay this off quick?
Yeah.
I mean, literally, that's it. You don't have to be like all super like technical about it. Like, oh, you just speak to them. They're humans, right? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm buying this property right now. Am I going to be in a bad situation? Like, how long do I have to pay these? Oh, no, don't worry, Mrs. Zano. You can, they'll tell you, oh, yeah, well, you better, actually, yeah, next week. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you.
Mr. Zano?
Yes, I talked about myself
Is
in the third person.
that what they call you, Mr. Zano?
When they call the county, this is Mr. Zano. Actually, I'm not calling the county. So, but.
Is that what your VAs call you, Mr. Zano?
Yeah, they have.
When's the last time you called the county, Zano?
I don't know.
I don't know. Billy Cook. How long? So, Billy, you might need to clarify for me because I don't know if you're just talking about the land business and the strategy that we employ, but his question is, how has the effectiveness of this strategy changed over the years? Has the opportunity been increasing or decreasing? What external factors are affecting your strategy? You might need to clarify for me what exactly.
Yeah, I mean, is he talking like, as the economy changes and so on and so, is it harder to buy land? Is it harder to sell land? I mean, is that what he's sort of getting at there?
I don't know if you could. Yeah,
we'll see.
You could
we'll
clarify,
let him
Billy.
Clarify.
We'll let him clarify. Chime in.
That could be a new segment on the Nightcap, the clarification.
The clarification segment. Jonas Murphy. Jonas, nice to see you. Have you ever had someone call you out on a neighbor letter trying to sell just weeks after they received my offer for 4 times less? Well, that's interesting. So you mail an area, you canvass the area, you offer them 25 cents on the dollar for their property, you pick up a property, and then you try to sell it to a neighbor that you're already mailed to.
I'll speak for myself, and you may have a different experience. Most of the neighbors that I've sold to are people that actually have something on their property. So it's like and they never would have got a letter from me in the beginning anyways. So I may go to an area where there's a lot of vacant land and there are some houses here and there. Not to say somebody who has vacant land won't want to increase their acreage, but most of my successful neighbor sales have been people that live nearby or in close proximity. So and they have a structure, so they probably wouldn't have gotten my letter. But I can see where he's going, and it doesn't really matter because if the guy wants the land, he's gonna, he's gonna make you an offer. So it's worth checking out either way. It doesn't matter.
I love those properties sometimes with the homes right next door because I've had a lot of good success just giving them a ring and saying, hey, I have the property next door under contract, or I own the property next door. Do you want it? And it's been a nice experience sometimes.
For sure.
Go ahead, Forbesy.
What's he gonna say? What's he gonna do? Call the police? Honestly. Is he gonna be mean to you over the telephone? Is that what we're worried about? Right. By the way, they ain't making that land no more. So if it's an honest to God neighbor, right? I don't think that's coming up. Now, he may like jab you a little bit if he's interested. Yeah, I saw what you paid for it. What can we do? Happy to work with you. Right? Quick sale, quick cash sale.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Right? I'm sure every once in a while someone just goes ballistic, but like that happens in all areas of this business, which is why you insulate yourself and outsource most of this stuff. But honestly, at the end of the day, like truly, what is that guy gonna say? It's like,
And if
okay,
yeah,
it's all right.
That's the
All
thing where we go back to, and I used this Scott Bossman on the round table. I was thrown the tip of the week. And so I said, well, let me bring up
something.
Yeah, I quoted Bossman.
Hmm.
That was my tip of the week. I said, don't let the emotion get in the way of the motion.
Oh, nice.
You don't overthink yourself out of good, out of a good idea or you cannot overthink getting involved in this business. Your emotion gets in the way of the motion. You hear, Matt? We came up with that's a great saying, isn't it? Forbes, Boston was talking like, what'd you just say? Like, did you hear what you just said? It was incredible. Don't let the emotion get in the way of the motion.
I am honored that you used my quote as tip of the week.
And Scott Todd didn't even bat an eye at it.
He didn't? He didn't make fun of you or anything?
Not because I mentioned Bossman.
Yeah, right.
That's the Scott connection.
It's funny. Well, I'm definitely honored. What I was going to say is, you know what? It's interesting. Like some of these people, they might call you up. Like Forbes was kind of alluding to this. Like, what's he going to do? Like, hey, what are you going to do? Like, but what if he calls you up and he's angry? He's like, listen, you just offered me this a few weeks ago. Now you want to sell me the same property for this?
Yes.
And, what if you just talk to him and say, well, I own the property. If you want it, I'll sell it to you. Let's talk. And listen, if you make $500, you make $1,000. If you double your money, and you're providing a service to the guy, there's no harm in having that conversation with him, right? You don't have to triple or quadruple your money with the neighbor. A win is a win. I think we get too hung up on the numbers sometimes.
This is important, right? We talk about this. No one's ever like gonna look at you and say, you only doubled your money.
Exactly.
What's that, right. Forbes? You only doubled your money? Oh.
Yeah, you suck. Yeah, we just gotta get past this. It's like cold calling in sales. What's the worst thing they're actually ever gonna do to you? I mean, are they gonna swear at you? Is that it? Is that where we're at? It's not that bad, right? And if there are people who will call you back just to pick an argument. Have a great day. Okay. Well, if you're not interested in buying it, no problem. Have a great day. Well, how come you blah blah? How come you sent me this mail? Wah wah. Did you also call MasterCard? I assumed you called American Express and yelled at them as well. All right. Eat blank off.
See ya.
Peace. Yeah, it's fine.
Peace to your mother. That's funny.
Whoa, where's the show going?
He's
right down.
Forbes he's not even drinking tonight. He's on some cleanse. By the
way, I want to take a poll. If anybody would like to have a Movember nightcap where we all wear mustaches.
Oh yeah, let's take that poll.
And also, we'd like to bring back. People don't even know we can sing.
No, I will not be there.
I'll tell you right now, Bossman can sing. Forbes is very talented when it comes to Christmas songs, and I'm just not afraid to make a fool of myself.
Scott Todd got run over by a reindeer. You remember that?
Oh my lord! Not our best.
Who sang that one?
It was amazing. Yeah. It was Christmas a couple years ago. I think we definitely need a nightcap musical or Christmas musical, or I don't know. We'll see. I like the Movember idea. I really do.
We're doing it.
James Simmons. So to expand on what he asked earlier, he says, so if you get one from an auction, does that title come with clouds? So it really depends on Go. What? Go.
We just talked about this on the round table. It's coming up, so I don't know, like
Oh, nice.
like a cliffhanger. Stay tuned. That was the whole topic of the round table.
Oh, it was
all right,
nice.
well,
But what I would say is this, because I wasn't on the round
Well, you
table
weren't
this week,
there,
but
so we can hear your version.
well, but just call the county, James, and say what's the deal with this? Like, different counties are different. There will be a redemption period in some counties. Um, so, like in Colorado, there's a 9-year redemption period. If Matt Forbes buys a property at tax auction in 2015 and he sells that property to me today, what's that?
I thought it was 7, 9.
No, I think it's 9 years in Colorado.
Okay, I don't know.
It might be 7, check. But anyway, Matt Forbes can buy that property, he can sell that property, but whoever is the owner of that property can't do anything with that property during that redemption period.
Right.
You can't make any improvements on it. That doesn't mean that you can't sell it. And you just need to disclose that with your buyer. You need to say, listen, this property was bought at tax auction. There's a redemption period till 2024. That means the prior owner can come back and claim it, which never happens. And
It can happen.
and but here's why it won't happen this time, because the guy passed away, so it's not going to happen.
Right.
And so there you go. I'll still sell to you on a special warranty deed. Some counties at tax auction, the cloud in the title is gone right away.
Yep.
So just got to know your county.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for the round table.
Yeah, and I guess go to the Roundtable podcast.
I wish I'd been there. Mark Eady has a question. I have been getting I'm getting a few owners who are deeding over their properties at no cost. What do you call that, Mike Zano?
Is that the $1 Skittle or the Humdinger?
It's the $1 Skittle.
It's
What's
not.
the Humdinger again?
Yeah, no, the Humdinger is just it's a deal that comes it comes
Like
to your
a
inbox,
no-brainer?
and it's a no-brainer. There's no back taxes. It's 25 cents on the dollar. Chain title's clear. Go get it, buy it. The $1 Skittle is where you buy a property for $1, or they deed you the property for nothing, whatever, and you take care of the back taxes or back POA fees or whatever. But anyway,
$1 Skittle.
he's getting properties deeded over to him at no cost because of outstanding POA/HOA dues. Outstanding dues are still so he's still getting the property with fees. When you consider the fees, probably about 20 cents on the dollar. But the plan would be to repay the POA fees when sold.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. You just gotta, in my experience, I worked in an area once in a POA, and man, I was like, these are beautiful properties. I'm buying every one I can get. And I bought like 8 to 10 of them. And then I was like inundated with back POA fees. And the POA fees, they tend to accumulate a little bit faster than the county taxes do. The interest rate is a little bit more. There's late fees that they throw in there. So you just got to be careful with those POAs.
Some POAs are PO. Not very
Yeah.
I have a couple of counties where I do that, and I'll get stuff. I'll buy some for $200, and then I assume all the POA stuff, and it's great because you're into that property for almost nothing or nothing, right? But you got to understand, for all the benefit on the front end, the back end is, are people going to want to move there and pay those POA fees? You will bring it to zero when you sell it, right? Yeah. But I found that there's a couple thousand lots in this place, and the POA it's not expensive, but a lot of people don't pay. So it's not the most well taken care of thing. And so there's a certain type of buyer that's always interested and then eventually never buys. because they're like, oh, there's this POA, right? And it's expensive over the next 20 years. So there's some there's some downside,
Yeah,
but
it depends what that delivers too. I've had some POAs where there's nice lake they can use, and they get this and they get that, and it's not too expensive. So people are, so yeah, this definitely depends.
I agree, but they're good. Like some of them you get in for really cheap money. So if you're new, that's a strategy. You're going to go where there is a POA, which is like against what we normally talk about. But, there's love there because you can get into them for super cheap.
Here's the other thing I'd recommend, Marcus, is let's say you're able to buy 10 of those properties. Call the POA office and say, I'd like to be put on a payment plan for all of these dues at no extra cost, no fees. I'll pay you $100 a month, whatever. I've done that before, and that way you don't have to pay them a bunch of cash when you're acquiring these properties. Just pay them a flat fee monthly, and then they don't charge the late fee. They don't accrue interest on the payments as well. So that's something you can maybe think about.
Sometimes you can negotiate with them too.
Yeah.
And be like, listen,
I've never had success doing that, but
what's that?
Yeah, I've never had success doing that. I've asked in the past, and they're like, nope, sorry. Okay, fine.
I have not had success. I haven't tried that hard. Right. But at a certain point, you're like, listen, I own 17 lots and I owe you $19,000. So you're either going to get none of it or you're going to get half of it. What do you want?
Right.
I think you could play hardball and make that work. But yeah, but I haven't tried very hard, nor have I been successful with that.
Awesome. Our few minutes left here. We got still questions rolling in. I love it. So Billy Cook's his question, just to clarify, your overall strategy relative to the economy, etc. Like, has our strategy changed in this business as far as buying and selling land compared to when we started? I started 6 years ago. Zano 6-7 years ago. Matt Forbes, what, 3-4 years ago? 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Has your strategy changed
Nope.
due to or in relation to the economy, the overall climate in the world?
Not one bit.
Thoughts? Strategy has not changed. Strategy is the same. Mechanics may be slightly different. The market waxes and wanes a little bit, right? We've had to adjust our offer prices up a little bit. But as long as you're still consistently mailing, you're still consistently doing deals. And then you're going to make it up on the back end.
Yeah, I'd say no dramatic change at all.
No.
What is that?
Somebody must be printing something.
Oh, you're printing. Okay, I got you.
Oh, so what are you printing?
I don't know.
What are we printing right now?
Oh God.
Let's see here.
Well, that must mean that my my crisp noise canceling is off. There it is.
Yeah, it's not working. It's Skype.
So, it's on high now. How's this sound?
Skype.
That's better.
Terrible.
Could you hear that clapping?
No.
Yeah, so now it's on. See? You can't hear this.
No.
You weren't.
Can you hear?
I was.
You were like,
look at it.
Look it.
Watch. Ready, Matt?
Look, I'm snapping. Look, I'm snappy.
Noise cancellation off. Can you hear this?
Yep.
Noise cancellation on high.
A little bit.
It's much less.
Much lighter.
Sweet.
Yeah. All right, a couple more questions here. Jeff Storley says, yes, we do all need mustaches. So, Forbes, get to work, because I know it takes you a little bit longer to grow a mustache than it does me.
No, by the way, 0% chance of me growing a mustache.
I got an idea.
Okay.
John Sikovich, nice to see you, John. If you don't have an LLC and you can't use ACH to set up auto payments, what is the best way to collect monthly payments? I heard you could try with PayPal, but they don't like it. So if you don't have an LLC, what are you doing?
PayPal doesn't like it, although at the beginning I did that for years and nobody bothered me. Um, there's so many ways to take payment right now. You could literally, I've taken payments, people mailing me payments. I don't particularly like the payments where you have to go to Walmart and cash them in, because that just takes, like, it's not a 5-minute trip to go to Walmart and cash in one of their money orders. It's definitely a long endeavor, but I'll take money any which way typically.
Venmo, Zelle, check in the
Money
mail,
order.
checkbook, auto bill pay from your bank. Checkbook.io is a great service where people can send you a check for $1. So, but yeah, if you're in that situation, maybe try to pick a system, or try to pick one and go with it if possible. I like the Walmart MoneyGram. Walmart's just down the road. Love it. Anyway,
I get once a month we get mailbox money from one dude. We get a money order.
yeah, I get a money order too, once a month.
I would take that money order,
And
go cash it, and go out to eat with it. Make it a unique
and
day.
yeah,
Sold. I like that idea. I'll do that. Big fan.
Connor Hamilton. Okay, let's end with this topic because I think it's awesome. We'll each spend 1 or 2 minutes on it. Connor is 18 years old.
Hey, what's up, Con?
Is 18 too young to start buying land, or should I wait till I have more money and more experience?
Oh my God.
Don't
I
wait,
think
Connor.
Matt's got the best answer here, because I think he's already had some 11 or 12-year-olds making. How old? What's the deal?
I have a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old making money doing this business right now. I can tell you right now, Connor, the answer to your question is ask every single successful land investor, what's the one thing you wish you would have done different? And 100% of them will tell you, I wish I started when I was 18. Every single solitary person will tell you, I wish I started earlier. Every single one. And I know that because I asked that question at my first boot camp just to hear what people did wrong. And that was the only answer I ever got. And I went, maybe this really is for me. Can you do this at 18? You're damn right you can. 100%. If you apply yourself now, oh my God, if I did this when I started when I was 18, are you kidding me? I'm 42. Oh, if I'd started when I was 18.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to get in touch with us, Connor. We've had some
Yes.
people that have gone, started not too much older than you, and they're crushing the business now. I could put you in touch with them if you want.
Yeah, that girl.
Yeah, Michaela is insane.
Michaela.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you have discovered this at 18 years old and you are motivated, you're gonna rock this business. You just gotta put in the time.
And all right, I'm going to say 2 things to Connor, and then we can close out. But he wants to know how old we were when we bought our first properties. So he's rubbing it in a little bit.
39.
I was 39, Connor.
Yeah, suck it, Connor.
Like
I was 39.
mid 40s.
So you know what, Connor, you got 20 years on us, dude. You can do this. If we can do this, you can do this, especially in today's day and age. And speaking of today's day and age, I think Connor would relate to something that we rolled out this week, Mike Zano.
Yes.
Yes, you want me to do it? You want to talk about it, or should I?
Oh, that. Yes. Well,
Yeah.
it's a work in progress. There may or may not be Land Geek Guys TikTok channel.
Land Geek Guys TikTok.
Look at Matt.
Check us out.
I'm out.
At Land
For
Geek
those
Guys,
reasons-
Connor Hamilton. You're out. He's out. Forbes, we're going to feature you on there very soon.
We're looking for followers, so go to Land Geek Guys on TikTok, and we're going to be putting out tips for those of you who have TikTok.
Yes.
Not me.
So
put Matt to sleep, but Connor, check it out.
Awesome. Connor, you can get in touch with us if you go to thelandgeek.com. You can book a call with either Mike or myself. You can email us at info@landgeekguys.com, or just send us a message on Facebook. And we'd love to talk to you about the business.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. It was a fun night. We'll see you what day next week, Mike Zano?
I was just thinking about that. I am away until Thursday morning, so hopefully Thursday night.
Oh, Thursday night. Okay. Thursday night. All right. So that's going to be Thursday, the 23rd.
But we do have a webinar Monday night.
We do have a webinar Monday night. That's another thing for you to maybe come to, Connor, if you want. We're having a webinar. We're having a Q&A session about flight school Monday night on Zoom at 9 p.m. Eastern. And you can find details in the Facebook group. If you go to the Land Geek Motivation and Wealth Creation group on Facebook, you can find details in there. And then the next flight school starts September 29th, 2 weeks from tonight.
Nice.
Connor Hamilton says, definitely will follow the TikTok. He says it's so smart that we're getting in on the trend.
Don't judge it yet, Connor. And we would like some suggestions, Connor. You're probably more hip to it, so we're coming in from a whole different angle. But it's gonna get
Connor,
better.
you're probably more hip to it. I mean, right? That just gives away the cookie store right there. Now he knows you're a million because you just used that phrase.
All right, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a great night. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. We'll talk.
Hey, it's Mark Podolsky, the Land Geek, with your favorite niche real estate website, www.thelandgeek.com. We've got the usual suspects today on this week's roundtable. The technician, Eric Peterson. Eric, how are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you. We got Bearland, Aaron Williams. Bearland, how are you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Great to have you. We've got the most feared woman in the country, the terrorist hunter, Mimi Schmidt. Mimi, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm all excited about boot camp, although everyone won't hear it until the week after, right?
Yeah, I'm just going to assume that we had a great boot camp and that we're all exhausted.
Yep.
So, yeah, but if you don't want to be exhausted, you're just going to feed off the energy of the Zen master. Breathe in the mailing. Breathe out the marketing. Mike Zano. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful, Mark. It's great to be here.
It's great to see you. I like those new beats, too.
I'm rocking them.
That's right. That's right. You know who likes those beats?
No.
It's the notorious Tate Litchfield. I love it when you call me Big Papa. Tate, how are you?
I'm great. Yeah, doing well. Thanks.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Today's podcast is sponsored by Lots. Looking over Tate's shoulder, go to thelandgeek.com/lots to learn more. Also, Flight School Live, go to thelandgeek.com/training. Schedule a call with Mike and Scott. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't properly introduce Scott Todd, who's back on the roundtable. Not that he's ever left. You know him. You love him. ScottTodd.net, landmoto.com, and how to automate those Craigslist and Facebook postings, postingdomination.com/the Land Geek. Scott Todd, how are you?
Mark, I'm great. I was trying to rack my brain. Did I miss something? Or was I not on here? But I think I was here.
You were here. It's just my way of getting back at you for all the cheesecake jokes. So,
oh, we got to bring back the Cheesecake Factory already.
Please, no. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Let's just keep moving forward. So I've got a new course. It's complete, but I think this roundtable podcast is really going to be the cherry on top. The proper way to wholesale a deal. If you're a buyer and a seller. Now, my course, which is a free course that's coming out, is how to double your money 21 days or less. And wholesaling has a lot of advantages because you don't have to get a list. You don't have to scrub a list. You don't have to price a list. That's already eliminated. You just go to the wholesaler who's already done all this hard work. Then you buy it from the whom will learned today, better leave enough meat on that bone for you as the wholesaler to make money. And then as you're the seller, selling it the quickest way to sell it as well. So the course goes through all these pieces, buying it right, doing your due diligence, trust but verify your wholesaler, and then how to quickly sell it 21 days or less, double your money. Eric Peterson, let's just start with you. As far as buying wholesale goes, what would be your advice to somebody who's just getting started? They want to double their money.
Okay, so this is for the buyer side. So I'm the wholesaler. I'm selling the property to them. What they should expect is, number one, I did my due diligence, but you need to go out and do your own due diligence, okay? You need to trust but verify. So if you're using the Land Geek VAs, give them that property. Have them do the due diligence on it. They need to verify the taxes on the property and inquire with the wholesaler to ensure that they're going to deed that property to them with the taxes paid up to current. That's kind of the expected practice, that the wholesaler would take care of any back taxes unless they're telling you that up front. You know, hey, there's $500 of back taxes on this property. They're going to transfer with the property. Otherwise, the wholesaler should take care of that. The paperwork, the wholesaler is going to do the paperwork. They're going to ask you how you want that property deeded. And they'll fill out the new deed. And if there's a supporting state-specific form, they should fill that out as well. As the wholesaler, they should then reach out to the buyer and have them confirm the information on the deed. When you get that deed to look at and that TD 1000 or state-specific form, whatever it might be, as the buyer, you should be checking your information, making sure your name is correct, your business name, your address, things like that. The parcel number is the one that you're buying. All those kinds of things you should be verifying before that wholesaler goes and signs and notarizes that deed and records it for you. That's the last step of the process. The wholesaler is going to record that signed and notarized deed for you, and then provide a copy of that finished deed. That's kind of the standard practice that I would expect to have. You know, that's pretty much how I work, I guess. The only other thing I would add is, you know, if you're buying wholesale, it's okay to try to negotiate. However, you need to do that before you put money down on the property. So if the wholesaler is accepting a down payment to lock up that property, don't pay that down payment and then, you know, come the next day and say, well, I know you're asking $2,000, but would you take $1,800? You know, if you want to do that, do it beforehand. Maybe the wholesaler will agree, maybe they won't, but it's important to do that before you lock up the deal.
Mike Zana, what do you want to add to that?
I don't know. That was pretty inclusive, Mark. That was, I mean, he covered everything. And sounds like there might have been a personal experience there at the end, where someone might have tried to pay and then, you know, ask him for a better deal. But yeah, I always tell people you got to treat it like an accepted offer, right? So if you're the one buying the property, treat it like an accepted offer. Do your due diligence as are clearly stated. And yeah, I mean, it's a fluid process. The more you do, the better you get. Just like our whole business is rinse and repeat, right? So isn't wholesale. Same thing, rinse and repeat. I think that you know, he basically covered everything. Really, it's just, you know, there's some intricacies in there because you know, people, in terms of how you're gonna. I guess if you were looking at how to price it, because you're the one that's going to sell it, well, you got to know your market, you got to know your comps, and you'll learn very quickly if you price too high because nobody will buy it, you know. And then, you know, I think there's an ethical component. You got to leave meat on the bone. We always say that, right? You got to have it so that the person can almost double their money cash, but they could definitely make 300-400% terms, maybe more. And then you got to be comfortable with it. I remember in the beginning, well, people, you know. The hardest part is to kind of divorce yourself from the fact that these people are going to make a lot of money, right? And you can't look back and say, well, geez, wow, I feel, you want them to make money. You want them to be excited. I remember someone bought from me and they were like, well, geez, I didn't want to tell you how much I made. I'm like, that's great. You want to buy a couple more? Like, you want them to make money because they're going to come back. There's no use in really being a wholesaler who wholesales one property. What's the point? If you really gouge somebody and then they never come back, that's not good. So there's a lot of intricacies, Mark, but I don't know. I think the basics, Eric definitely covered them all.
Tate Litchfield, thoughts?
I mean, I buy a lot of land wholesale, a lot of it. And I can tell you what my main pet peeves are. It's when somebody will say like, hey, I've got wholesale land for sale. And I'll say, great, send me it over. Let me take a look at it. And I'll ask what the price is. And they'll say, well, make me an offer. It's like, you don't want me to make an offer because I'm going to make an offer of what I would pay for this, if I were buying it direct from the seller. So I think it's important to have a price listed. Provide all of the information that I need in order to make my decision quickly. So GPS coordinates, APN, a correct legal description. If you have some comps or any other basic information, that all helps speed up the process. If you're trying to wholesale some property, your goal needs to be to sell these quickly and do whatever you can do to make moving that inventory easy. So, don't try to change the price. I tried to buy some property from a guy the other day and I told him which ones I wanted, but I told him I wasn't going to buy it until I had the Land Geek VA's due diligence on it because I'd never worked with him before. And he said, yeah, no problem. The next day he emailed me back and said, oh, I sold those. And it's like, all right, well, that's kind of not cool because I said I wanted them and not sure I want those other 5 either now because you sold those out from under me. I mean, you can't give me a day or two, or the problem could have been resolved if he had done or had been willing to share his due diligence, which he wasn't. So that was kind of fishy. So those are some of my big pet peeves, but hey, there's plenty of wholesalers out there and I love to buy wholesale land. I absolutely love it. I think it cuts out a lot of the work and a lot of the middleman, and you just get straight to marketing, which is fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the craziest deals I ever did was with a wholesaler, and basically he was like, look, if you don't buy this, I'm going to go to this guy that I know would ruin the market. So I quickly did due diligence. I missed a bunch of stuff. And so you don't want to ever feel pressured, even though the price is right, necessarily to close too quickly. And, take your time. Deals are like the bus. There's always another one down the road. Scott Todd, what's sort of the rules that you have as far as, right before you're going to buy wholesale?
Well, essentially, like's been said, I want to be able to double my money, right? I need to be able, when I pay it, I need to be able to double my money on the cash, not the terms. Someone can't come in and say, well, it sells for $4,000 on terms or $3,000 on cash, so I want the $2,000. Well, that leaves me no room for negotiation. It kind of puts me into a bottle. The other thing is that, so that's one piece on the buying side is that, you got to leave room. You got to know the pricing because I'm coming to you. You're coming to me to ask me to buy. And essentially, I might ask you like, okay, well, what's the retail price of this? And it's always nice when someone can give me the comps because as a wholesaler, your job is to make it easy for me, right? Like that's one of the reasons why I'm paying you a premium. I'm paying you a premium over what I could buy it because you're like the easy button for me. So you should be able to tell me, hey, here's the comps. Here's proof. Here's some links on Landmodo. Great. Those are always nice. Here's the due diligence. Here's some work that I did. Here's a marketing package. Great. You're adding value to the transaction as opposed to, oh, here's a property and you think that the transaction alone adds value. It doesn't. So essentially add value to the transaction and that's what you're getting paid for. You're getting paid to do something. I think that it's like Tate said, I think it's wrong when someone comes to you and they say, hey, listen, I want to sell this wholesale. You're like, okay, great. I need a couple days, and then they get antsy or they get an offer from somebody else. The next thing you know, they bolt, and you have spent time and money to do due diligence or to get ready, and then they're gone. All right, like hey, I got an offer from somebody else. Okay, well, I just spent like $30 or $50 doing due diligence on your behalf, and essentially you're going to go to somebody else because maybe they offered you a little bit more or something. Well, then you should have gone there first, right? Like, lesson learned, add them to your buyers list and do it next time. But when you say you're going to do the deal, do the deal. Be someone that you know that you're trustworthy. And if you're buying wholesale, well, then again, the same rules apply in reverse, right? Like, yeah, you got to be able to double your money, so you want to buy it right. Essentially, when you're buying wholesale, you know, essentially what you should understand is that if you say you're going to buy it, you buy it. I mean, I know for a fact that, like, I've had someone buy a wholesale property from me, and guess what? They returned it. They're like, hey, I really can't sell it, so I want my money back. I'm like, that's not cool. You bought the property. You're an investor now. This is not preschool. This is big boy school. You're an investor. You made a decision. Now you need to figure out how to sell it. Well, I just want my money back. Well, why? Like, I gave it to you at a discount. I mean, don't get me wrong. I gave them their money back, but guess what?
I wouldn't have.
Well,
I would have thought of a lesson, Scott Todd. I'm like, look, this is wholesale. You go to Nordstrom Rack, all sales are final. That's why you're getting such a good deal at Nordstrom Rack. You don't want that? You want to have a return? You want a return policy? Go to Nordstrom. Pay 300% more. Okay.
Well, I didn't want to deal with them, so I gave them their money back, and they were off to the races, and that was it. But that's not cool, right? Like, it's not cool. Figure it out. Work it out. Sell it. You know, that's really the thing, is that you gotta. You know, you got to keep moving your feet. We talk about this, right? Like, you got to keep moving forward. And yeah, you know what? You may not know how to solve the problem right now. You got to stop sometimes and really dig deep, because the success that you want is going to come to people who really want it. If you don't really want it, the world's going to know it. And they're like, let's go to someone who really wants the success. So, you know, essentially that's kind of the rules, is that be cool. You know, if you're, I mean, I actually had someone in a flight school class once, Mark, that they really got freaked out because they sold land. They were buying land wholesale. They were buying the land. No, I'm sorry. They sold the land. They transferred the deed, and then they never heard back from the person who was buying it. And they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" And then it's like quiet, crickets, like nothing, and it freaked them out. It freaked them out because it was their first transaction, and they were selling this land. They transferred. They thought that they had been hosed. And finally, they get in touch with a person by text, and the person's like, "Who is this again?" And I'm like, "What? You're doing a transaction with somebody, especially on a wholesale deal. You need to communicate more than anything. You need to communicate, because this is like the world of rapid fire land investing. Do it. Do the deal. Communicate. Hey, this is what's going on. White glove service. Get out and do it again. But you know, if you're going to go missing on somebody when they transfer the land to you and you're not going to pay them, you're going to freak people out, and you're going to get a bad reputation in the community. Don't be that person.
Yeah, absolutely. So in my course, I'm going through and showing people how I buy wholesale, or the way to do it. So I'm going on landmodo.com, and I'm looking at, okay, here's the retail price, and just divide by 2. And then I'm like, okay, now contact the seller. Now the seller may or may not sell to you wholesale, but it doesn't cost you anything to find out. So just for fun, I emailed Jen and Tyler, the land duo, and I'm saying, hey, would you take, they had it listed for $5,000. I'm like, hi, would you take $2,500 for this property, just as sort of a case study? And she emails me back. She's like, okay, yeah. She's like, here's my, my checkout link. Go ahead and put the $2,500. I was like, no. I want you to sell this retail. I was just doing this for, a case study. And then I started thinking to myself, well, maybe I should buy it. Like, okay. But because they're coaching clients, I didn't feel like it was the right thing to do necessarily. But it just goes to show you, like honestly, I think Tate Litchfield is the perfect example of what life is like in the land business. You're just fishing. Just keep fishing, right? Sometimes you're going to catch a 12-pounder. Sometimes you might get nothing that day, but you just keep going out there, keep fishing, and
Mark,
no one's going to accept the offer.
I got to tell you this story about my last fishing trip. So I'm out there, middle of nowhere, and I meet this guy, and you know, we're out in the middle of the ocean and the sun is hot. So normally you're wearing kind of like a long sleeve shirt to keep the sun off you and a hat and, you know, either shorts or a pair of pants, water wicking pants. And this guy's out there wearing a basketball jersey and a pair of like Hawaiian swim trunk bottoms. And, you know, after 2 or 3 days looking at him, like, all right, man, what's the deal behind the basketball jersey? And he said it was a James Harden jersey. You know the guy?
Sure, the beard.
Yeah. He goes, I fish like James Harden plays basketball. I was like, I don't know what you mean. He's like, I just keep shooting. I just keep casting all day long. And eventually I know that I'm going to make it happen. So yeah, got to keep fishing.
Yeah, you got to show up. 80% of the success in life is showing up. You got to keep, you know, casting, shooting. It's a numbers game. So let's go to Bearland, Aaron, and Mimi, and let's talk about the other side of the transaction. So now we know how to buy wholesale, but how do we quickly double our money and sell it? Bearland, Aaron, what are your thoughts?
Well, I guess you have to start off knowing your market pretty well, because that means you have to be able to buy that property right. You know, you can't, you know, there's certain properties that you may buy that are kind of going to be something that you need to retail. Maybe they have a lot of back taxes, but the deal still makes some sense. But that's not necessarily going to be a property eligible for wholesale, you know, because you're just not going to make it work. And then you're going to be one of those people that are trying to wholesale a property with no meat on the bone, because you still need to make back what, you know, you put into it in a little bit of profit, but unfortunately that squeezes the other end too tight. So assuming you can buy it right, you know, then you want to, you know, we've got a great community of a lot of people who are, you know, educated correctly. So you've got a pretty good market to be able to sell that. And there's different ways, you know, ways you can go buy it. You can put a wholesale price on Landmodo. You know, you can offer it.
We've already bought it wholesale. So now we're selling it now retail. Yeah.
Oh, so post-purchase retail.
Post-purchase, right. Like, so I already bought it wholesale. Now I'm going to sell it retail to the new buyer.
Okay. So at that point, to me, it's not any different than, you know, any other. I mean, I know my margin's going to be smaller than if I had purchased it, but I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to, as soon as I have an agreement with the person I bought it from, or it's deeded, you know, whatever, I'm going to start pre-marketing that property. I'm going to send it out to my buyers list, and you know, we're going to get it in the market rotation, and it's going to go, you know, it's going to be priced the same as anything I had bought. I just know my margin's a little smaller, but the nice thing is I can speed up the entire process a little bit, because it didn't involve, you know, the first half. So even though my margins are smaller, I can add a little bit of speed to that money, just because, you know, there was less time involved in the purchase end of it. So, you know, I'm going to put it out for terms. I'm going to put it out for cash sale, and rinse and repeat. I mean, there's not much different. The only thing I would say, though, is if the person presented photos to me so I could see the land, that sort of thing, or certain marketing materials, I think it's fair to ask, you know, if you're allowed to use that, you know, like,
well, let's ask Mike. I mean, Mike, when you wholesale a deal, you allow your wholesaler to use your maps, to use all your material that you're providing them for due diligence.
Of course, I'm encouraging it. I want them to sell it so they'll buy more. Absolutely.
Yeah, Mike was the first person that I bought from, and he's been doing it so much. He spoiled me, and so I thought, when I bought other wholesale deals, that it would be the same experience, right? And I learned quickly that it wasn't the case. So some tips I would suggest: make sure if you're buying a wholesale deal that the seller sends you draft deeds, draft TD-1000s, whatever supporting documents required before the transaction is complete. make sure they're doing those for you. And I've actually had a person, I taught his VA how to create a deed with multiple properties on it to save the filing fees, right? You file one deed as opposed to 2 or 3. And then he charged me a document fee. So as a wholesaler, you shouldn't be charging other investors documents,
Somebody,
right?
I would have stopped the deal right then and there. I'm like,
The nerve. I could, yeah. So, yeah, as a seller or as a buyer, do not pay any doc fees between, from a wholesaler. Another tip.
Mimi, did you not tell him, do you know who I am?
Well, I wasn't at the time. But yeah, and I completely agree with keeping your word. If you make a deal with somebody, follow through with it. I've had that happen a couple times, and I even had somebody recently say, well, send me a check. I said, okay. And the next day he's like, I'm not going to do the deal with you because on Facebook I can get the money almost immediately. And I'm the #1 proponent of paying for wholesale deals on Facebook. I was only going to pay you a check because you asked me to. So I recommend paying for wholesale deals on Facebook. Save yourself fees. The only thing different when I'm going to sell a wholesale deal is I always check my yields, right? Since my margin is going to be less, I check my yield on the financial calculator to make sure it's still within my allowable, my okay range. And then everything else is exactly the same. Same cash price, same term price.
Yeah, I mean, I would make the argument that in today's market, the fastest way now to sell is going to be Facebook. For what we call like the wholetailing model. You buy wholesale and you sell retail. And I think that it's going to be on Facebook. And I think you could do either quick cash, but I think you're going to have a bigger buyer pool on easier terms, right?
So like when Eric and I started on Facebook 2-3 years ago, it was just a couple of us out there. It would take me 20 leads to get a sale and then 50 or 60 on Craigslist to get a sale. And that's really changed. You get, it'll take me a lot more Facebook leads, but I get them faster. So it's still the fastest way to sell, but I do need more leads to close the sale. There's just, and on the buy sell groups, you'll find a lot more tire kickers, but not as many on Marketplace because people are becoming more savvy and they're more accustomed to seeing land now. Whereas before they'd never seen it. 2-3 years in, they'll go out looking for land, and I'll see my poster will even tell me, I know this person is a buyer because he's bought from other investors. So there are repeat buyers out in the Facebook Marketplace market now that are very savvy land investors, whereas 2-3 years ago.
All right, great. So Eric Peterson, I bought it wholesale quickly, got all my marketing material, put it on Facebook. I sold it. Now I've got to close it, right? What's the quickest and easiest way now to close that deal with your new retail buyer?
Select the down payment via GeekPay.
Down payment as well as doing the paperwork.
Yeah. So down payment, doc fee via GeekPay, and use LG Pass to generate your docs, and something like Sign Now or Write Signature, DocuSign, etc. To have those documents electronically signed. You should be able to finish that whole process in typically like a day if your buyer is pretty proactive in terms of doing their portion.
All right. Fantastic. Tate, you want the last word on this?
I don't know what else I'd add. I mean, Eric kind of nailed it. Just, be transparent when it comes to either buying or selling wholesale. Everybody needs to win in that situation. If everybody's not winning and everybody's not happy, it's not a good deal. But that trust that you gain, Mimi said that she worked with Mike at first, and then she's worked with other people, and she'd probably rather work with Mike again over a lot of these other people she's done deals with. I know I'm that way because, I trust Mike. I don't even necessarily do a whole lot of due diligence when it comes to buying land from him. It's like, here's the price. Cool. There's no, we don't beat each other up because I know he's given me the best deal possible. And the reason he's given me that deal as low as possible is because he knows I'm going to commit to it within the next hour or two. And that right there is kind of the beauty of how buying or selling wholesale really works. So,
yeah, it's the quick nickel over the slow dime, and money loves speed for sure. And now we're at that point in the podcast where we get to put Mike Zano on the spot. But of course, he's getting bailed out again by Mimi Schmidt to do her tip of the week, a website, a resource, a book, maybe a quote, something actionable for the Our Passive Income listeners to go improve their business, improve their lives. Mimi, what do you got?
Well, I made a video for my VA when I'm ready to start marketing a property. He has to make some pictures of the lot lines, right, of the plat map, or print screens off of Google Earth or that kind of thing. And I was using Paint, and so he was having to print screen, paste it in Paint, cut it out, and save it. And you guys may have a similar app. This is called Lightshot, and you can download it onto Mac or Windows. And all you do is you press print screen, not even Control or Shift print screen. You press print screen, you drag the picture, and press save. So if there are others that you guys use that you like too, just let's talk about it. But it was so much easier. I have to make a new video for my VA to do my marketing maps.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, it's something that Clever, I'm surprised, is even available for Windows, but that's amazing that it is. So,
what do you guys use? Come on, Eric.
I like Sketch. Have you ever used Sketch?
Is it similar?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, that'll send me sometime.
Scott Todd, have you lost your stylus yet on the Surface?
No, in fact, I have it right here. You know why, Mark? Because it's magnetic, and you just go plop, and it's right there. And let me take on the tablet, the Surface tablet. It is so dang good. It's like I barely touched it the other day, and it didn't even, like, I wonked it hard, and it didn't barely even moved. I was just like, lost? No. Listen. I know for a fact that the Mac is out the door, and there will be more just like me converting. You watch. You mark my words.
Well, we'll see. We'll take a poll at boot camp.
We can take a poll. Listen, it might take 1% of the time. If I'm the only one out there preaching it, no problem. I will keep preaching it because the cool kids use the good technology. Let me tell you what happened to me the other day. Something about Macs. I fire up my old Mac because I got to get something off of it. I'm sitting there. I'm trying to do something. Guess what? It locked up. My Surface, months. No locks up. Nothing, man. Nothing.
Marilyn, Aaron?
I don't know, man.
Speechless.
No, see, a lot of people remember when Macs started to get good and we were all telling people, no, you got to get rid of Windows and get a Mac. It's like you won't believe the experience. But everybody was kind of stiff-necked about it because it's like, oh, I've already got all this, I paid for this software. I've got my QuickBooks and my Excel and my whatever for my Windows machine, and now I'd have to buy new software. And it's like, well, now it's the other way around. I don't want to have to buy all new software for a Windows machine. I think I'll stick Mac out for a little bit longer and see how their see what their vision is. Kind of the combination between iOS and Mac OS. It's starting to come together. So I think sure it is. Sure it is.
Listen, if you use Office, Microsoft Office 365, it just converts over. There's no buying software anymore. If you're buying software that doesn't convert between different platforms, you're using the wrong stuff, man. And Apple has no vision.
I saw in Tampa that there's going to be a Microsoft Surface meetup at the Cheesecake Factory tonight. I assume, Scott, that you are the one leading this.
I won't be there, but I'm sure you guys will be. Cheese.
I mean, you need about 5,000 to 6,000 calories for your mind to start even to like process slowly enough the Kluge software of Windows. It's like when they give you donuts at the dealership.
Hey,
now let's make a deal.
How's it going writing on your MacBook? Like when you need to take notes, you take out a Sharpie and you just use it there on a piece of paper.
God, I'm not in grades. I'm not in school anymore. I type everything. I'm an adult.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's good. That's good.
Good. That's good.
It's called the trackpad.
Well, on that note, I want to
Input output device, dude.
That's a separate device, right, Bearland?
Yeah, but it goes with me to any computer I want to use.
Oh,
Eric's
okay.
got one too, I bet, don't you?
I don't actually. No trackpad.
You don't? Oh my
Other than
God.
on my MacBook, but not a separate one.
You don't have a separate one, okay.
Well, I want to thank the Land Geek Nation for putting up with us and listening to us and supporting us. And if you're getting value from these podcasts, send it to a friend, email it to a friend, share it on the interwebs and social media. We really appreciate it. And of course, support the podcast by just doing 3 tiny little things. You got to subscribe. You got to rate. You got to review the podcast. Send us a screenshot of that review to support@thelandgeek.com. We're going to send you for free the $97 passive income launch kit. Again, check out the first season of Lots. Go to thelandgeek.com/lots, LOTS. And of course, learn more about Flight School Live. Get her done in 3 days. thelandgeek.com/training. Are we good? Roundtable?
Good.
We ready to do this? All right.
I'm going to try it this time.
Uh-oh.
Wow. All right. So we'll be ready for that lag. 1, 2, 3.
Let
freedom
ring.
That was so bad that Eric literally went in pain. He physically winced in pain. I've never seen it.
That was really bad.
If
That
they
was
want to
really
hear it,
bad.
they got to come to boot camp, Mark, because there's nothing like that live.
That's true. That's true. And the next boot camp is going to be in Tate's backyard, Vegas. What happens at boot camp stays at boot camp. Only at the Vegas boot camp, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun, though. It'll be a nice time. The pool will be warm. The sun will be out. Oh.
How's it get in August? End of July. End of July.
After 100, it's all the same, basically. It's just going to be hot. You just got to come prepared, knowing you're going to be hot.
Yeah. I did it Phoenix last summer. It was great. It was that hot, 110.
I love it, though. I'd rather it be 110 than still frozen, right? Like, I've been in shorts. How long have you been wearing short sleeve shirts, Mark? Did you even wear long sleeve this year?
I don't have any. I don't own any. I don't need any. No, maybe I do. I'm joking. I do. No, I've been starting the short sleeve thing since it cracked, over 80. But what's funny is my wife is like, look, we're wearing short sleeve, 8 months out of the year. She's like, please wear long sleeve when you can. I'm like, okay, I will. Because she gets tired of seeing me in the same clothes.
I know about that.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm really excited to see everybody for boot camp. Bearland, Aaron, you will be missed as always.
I will miss everybody quite a bit.
But everyone else, we're going to party like rock stars as usual this weekend. And Mike, you bringing the cowboy boots or no? Because it's
well, it is Arizona. You're right.
It is Arizona.
That qualifies as cowboy boot nation. Maybe
it is Southwest. I don't know. Tate in Vegas, do they wear cowboy boots
during the rodeo? Yeah.
During the rodeo?
I mean, in Vegas, you can wear or not wear whatever you want. It's totally fine.
That's true. I feel like because of Eric in Tennessee, like he'll feel more comfortable if you bring the cowboy boots.
Yeah.
Even though I don't own a pair.
Well, at least the hat. least the hat. Didn't you have a hat?
I do have a new hat. I have a new hat for boot camp. Yes. It's not a cowboy hat, though.
All right. All right. Well, thanks everybody. And we'll see everyone next week. Probably very tired post boot camp, which is always kind of fun. But we'll tell some Zano stories for sure.
Javelinas.
The
Don't bring those up. Those are scary.
They're blind. Do you know that? They're like blind pigs.
Yes. Well, you can't even. I would never run into one because I can't go into the wild in Arizona because every plant attacks you. So I'll never get attacked by javelina because I won't even step foot off the pavement because everything out there bites you. All these prickers and forget it.
Yeah.
No danger.
Yeah.
Stay out of it.
Yeah. It's not like Florida. Like you got to be tough to live out here.
I mean, do you see the news that all the Florida men? I mean, we got to survive amongst them. I mean,
it's like World War Z. Yeah. World War Z in Florida.
Come on.
I feel like that should be like a Netflix show, Florida Man. You gotta survive.
Yeah.
Like the zombie apocalypse, except instead it's like just Florida Man.
Well, it is interesting when you hear stories that you're like, oh, that's over there, that's somewhere else. But then when they hit like close to your home, you're like, whoa, that was pretty close. Just the other day, there was it wasn't a Florida man, it was Florida women, 3 Florida women. They go to a rest stop, interstate rest area that is literally like in my town. And they go there, and apparently they had like got kicked out of the house that they were living at or something, like some altercation. I don't know. They end up at the rest area. They spend the night. And you know what? They need a shower. So you know what they do, right? Like they do what any other normal person would do who's in that situation. At the rest stop, they strip off their clothes and they take gallon bottles of water and they start bathing out there at the rest stop next to the interstate. And then when the police show up, they do what anybody would do, which is they get in the car and they flee from the police with no clothes on. Okay. And then they go and they create a ruckus in the town. Like they got a police chase after them because they ran from the police. And they're like, what's the problem? We're just showering here. Whoa, that's scary.
Like in Vegas, this is a Cirque du Soleil show. Like we would sell.
That happens right on the strip every day. I've seen it, but like,
it's acceptable.
Is it the conclusion?
We don't want that crap here.
Weren't they arrested at the Cheesecake Factory? The final scene of that whole thing.
Apparently, allegedly they were in the Cheesecake Factory. I don't know. No proof of that though. Okay, but they did not make it to Panera Bread. I'll tell you that. No way.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is always fun, isn't it? It's just good times. All right. Well, I'm going to go eat some lunch and get ready for boot camp. Thanks, everybody.